Let's move to the National Football League, where former Patriot cornerback Asante Samuel has pointed words about his old coach, Bill Belichick. What do you think of the case that Asante Samuel is trying to make?
Well, I don't think it's airtight. I mean, it's empirically true that Belichick has not won without Brady. We can all see that. But it is possible that this argument ignores the fact that Bill Belichick created around Tom Brady an environment that allowed him to excel. And
Amen.
that would be called coaching.
Amen.
Right? That would be called coaching.
Yes.
And I think that has to be considered. You can look at the record Bill Belichick had in Cleveland. I think it was 36-44 in 5 years, one playoff appearance. Since Brady has left New England, 25-25. Not very good. If you factor in Brady's rookie year, where he did not play at all, Bill Belichick's record without Tom Brady is 66-80. And that's not great. So it's clear, Mike, that Brady has burnished Bill Belichick's resume. But what did Jimmy Johnson do without Troy Aikman?
Right.
What did Chuck Noll do without Terry Bradshaw?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to.
What did Bill Walsh do
that
without two Hall of Famers, Montana and Young? Oh, wait, he never had to find out. You're made by great players. Professional sports about great players.
This is why I always try to make the case for Joe Gibbs as the GOAT.
Yeah.
Three different Super Bowls with three different quarterbacks. None of them was in the Hall of Fame.
Three different great running backs. And a whole different offensive cast he had, but a line around him. Tony, I agree with you. First of all, Asante Samuel. I mean, so I'm not really going to be in the business of caring deeply what Asante Samuel has to say. But the case, if we're going to argue, the question is about the case he makes a pretty persuasive case that, yes, this is his record without this guy. But again, let's go to basketball with Greg Popovich. He didn't have Tim Duncan and David Robinson and Ginobili and Parker right now, and it's not been good. Hadn't made the playoffs. Am I going to argue that Greg Popovich is not an all-time great coach? No, I'm not going to argue that. And so I don't really know what the point is, other than if he wants to take shots at Belichick, because maybe Belichick didn't play him enough, or he wound up leaving to go into Philly after he had a pretty good career in New England. Okay, you can take shots at Belichick. But, I still take Belichick. I'd hire him above most any other coach in the NFL if he was available.
Here's what we don't know, and we're never going to know.
What?
How many Super Bowls does Tom Brady get to without Belichick? Again, this is coaching. You set up an environment to allow people to flourish. That's how it works. We move on. According to Pro Football Talk, NFL running backs have formed a text chain where they are discussing steps to improve their situation. Running backs currently get paid on average less than all other 11 on 11 positions except fullback. They get paid less than kickers, but don't weep for them because they make more than punters and long snappers. Wilbon, do you think running backs will have success banding together to improve their perceived value?
Hell no. No, it's the NFL. They will get rid of you. They'll get rid of your whole position. They'll just come in a room and say, everybody in this room get out, and none of you are getting paid. No. The analytics people who run every sport, in the case of football now, they have basically said running backs don't matter to us. And no one is out there being independent. There's no independent thinking out there. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see somebody come in like the great Bill Walsh who says, you know what? I'm going to use this dude, and we're going to win that way. And so you have a Derrick Henry out there, but you don't have anybody really creatively using running backs, and so they languish. They just do. Because the coaching now, all these things go in trends. It's like in the NBA. Everybody wants to run pick and roll, and everybody switches everything. And there's no independent thinking out there in that either. So this is the way sports goes, but the tough thing about pro football, Tony, is they can get rid of you. Your contract's not guaranteed, and if they think you are fungible, here's the door, and it doesn't matter what you do on your group text.
So it sounds to me like the running backs would like to form a union, except they already have a union. The NFLPA is their union. And the teams are not going to negotiate with the running back union.
No.
So maybe what they can do, if they go to the NFLPA and they say, help us out, the NFLPA will say to them, there's a finite amount of dollars in the pot. If you take out one more dollar, you hurt your brother at another position because you're taking his dollar. Maybe they could argue and be successful, although I don't think so, to get to free agency quicker, because now when they get to free agency, Mike, most teams think that they're used up.
Yeah.
Or they could hold out and quit, or they could play another position. I know you hate analytics. There was a story in the Washington Post today about something called expected points added. And running backs were way down on the list, below quarterbacks, below wide receivers, below tight ends. And do you know this, Mike? You may hate it, but all the GMs swear by it. That's the only position since 2015, running back's the only position where the franchise tag number went down.
That's
it
because
went down.
they use it that way.
Mike, we're living in a world where Jim Brown would get paid less than a free safety.
I was just going to ask you this. I was going to ask you this. And by the way, cornerbacks are the position that are just, to me, as overrated as they come. Because people like Asante Samuel 1 minute are said to be the greatest thing in the history of football, and the next season they're traded somewhere else. And you get this guy who's on Revis Island, except then he's under an expressway trying to make the Bengals practice squad. I don't want to hear cornerbacks, really.
The expressway to your heart.
In your opinion, is the greatest player in the history of the NFL, Anthony Kornheiser. What position did he play?
I thought he played running back,
I did too.
I'm old and I've forgotten.
Yeah. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.